Hey, so I'm in this beautiful little town called Chipping Camden today. Here for a couple of client meetings and so on. Arrived yesterday afternoon. Kind of just had a walk around the place. Really beautiful little town. Got a lot of history here. So it's definitely worth a visit if you're up in the Cotswolds area. Um, but there's some interesting topic I wanted to sort of just touch on this morning was the idea of procrastination and how some of us get kind of caught up in some of these things when making decisions, especially as business owners. And so I don't know if you've ever read the book called Who Not How, and if you haven't, I highly recommend it. But essentially it's kind of like the main idea or the premise behind it is we often procrastinate because we don't know how to do something. And this, and I'm certainly guilty of this myself, is that we get stuck on, when we've got a problem to face or something to deal with, we get stuck on not knowing how to do something, and often can lead to a lot of sort of frustration or stress around not dealing with a particular situation. What I found from my own experience, and certainly having this sort of definitely clarified by reading that book, Who Not How, is that what we should really aim to do then in that case is, instead of trying to figure out how do we do something, rather think about, well, who can help me to do this? And so basically we allowing ourselves to gain momentum and sort of proceed with actually progressing on something or dealing with this situation by seeing who can help me with this particular situation or challenge that we've got. And it takes away a lot of the frustration around not knowing how to do something. Now I think there's a little bit of a counterbalance to that as well, in my own opinion, is that what's important though is when you go and find who can help you, you need to kind of educate yourself a little bit as to how how to do that, at least at a high level, and what are the key things to look out for. And this actually translates quite well with the whole area of risk management. So if you think about risk management, one of the things that we do when we outsource something or when we effectively transfer risk, right, we handing over the risk to somebody who's better able to manage it. Think about insurance for building fire, for example, or whatever it might be. We transferring that risk to somebody else, to an insurance company who can handle the financial loss, and we pay them a premium, for example. So that's risk transferring. We're transferring the issue to somebody else. The thing is, it doesn't absolve us of having some responsibility in it. So if you think about transferring the risk, like I say, in the example of a building or a fire, like, we still need to take responsibility for making sure that it's been that risk has been transferred properly, like the policy is in place, and that we adhere to the requirements of the policy. Just like if we in business, if we transfer the risk or transfer the process, find out who can help us with something, I think it's still important that we kind of take on the responsibility for understanding what is required of us, especially in a leadership role or an executive role. You need to understand what are your responsibilities. And so the thing is, this is quite important if you're a director or if you're owner of a business, is that you need to understand what the responsibilities can lead to. And you need to be able to kind of manage those and make sure that you address them. Now, I think this is a lot easier when you've got a group of directors where, if you've got multiple directors in the company, that you can effectively sort of manage the risk between you. So you assign risk areas or responsibilities within your area of expertise. What I've seen a lot with single business owners or a single director is that effectively you don't have the skills in certain areas, and so you tend to focus on the areas where you do have the skills and transfer that risk or responsibility to other consultants or so on. And the unfortunate reality, and I've seen this quite a few times, is that if you, as a single director, say for example you don't understand finance or you don't understand marketing, and you effectively delegate or outsource it to somebody else, the challenge is you need to know enough to know whether that person's doing what is required, because they don't have the same sort of investment or responsibilities within your business. And so you need to have the responsibility to understand at least enough to know whether or not they're doing a good job, so that you can manage and change them should you need to. And sometimes maybe the way to do that sometimes is to talk with them and understand from their perspective what are the risks or what are the responsibilities that they are taking on, and to do a bit of research yourself to understand that that you've got your bases covered. So I think that's critically important, because I've seen it many times, and I've had it in my own experience where I might outsource something to a service provider or consultant or so on, and I kind of expect it to be handled. The challenge is like I say, they don't always have the same investment in your business. They don't necessarily look at things at the level of detail that you do. But what they can do very effectively is provide you advice when you ask specific questions. And I think this is the challenge, is that you at least need to educate yourself on what questions should you be asking. That allows you to be able to kind of gauge whether they're doing a great job, or where they, and also allow you to kind of get the most value out of that consultant relationship or so on. And I think it's very effective, like especially in my role as a fractional COO. I'd like to work with CEOs or business owners who understand what it is that's required of that role, or at least what's required in their situation, and to be able to ask the kind of questions that allows them to get the most value out of it. So yeah, I think that's just wanted to touch on this and really how the two connect, in that, if you're procrastinating on something, that you're probably trying to think, well, how do I do this, rather than figuring out who could help me with this. And then the flip side to that is, once you've decided, okay, well, who could help me with this, now knowing at least enough of the high level stuff to ask them the right questions, and to be able to know that they got your best interest at heart, and they're able to give you the right advice. So I think that's really important. Anyway, I just wanted to share that sort of quick message with everyone, and hope you have a fantastic day.